It's okay. Are we up? Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us for Monday with Maile. I'm Ku'ulani. I'm program director at the Historical Society. And, because of COVID, we're all on lockdown and doing all we can to continue to provide great programs for you. And so in just a few minutes, Maile will be arriving. Maile, as you know, is our historian, long-time historian at Kona Historical Society, and very active here in the Kona community. We love her. We enjoy her stories, her Maile's Meanderings, which she's been writing for a couple of years. You can find them all on our website. And so I am going to turn it over to Maile. I hear her coming up the steps right now, so hang on just a second. She'll be right here. Enjoy. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hello, happy Facebook listeners. It is me, Maile. I am here, and we're all concerned about the light shining through the window, washing people out. But I don't know. We can't tell if that's really important or not so important. The important thing is, maybe I should sit over here. Who knows? The important thing is that we are inside the Greenwell store today, which is something different because we're trying to avoid the wind problem and the weed whacker problem and the truck problem that we had last week. So this week we're inside H.N. Greenwell's beautiful, you can see it behind me, the stones and the mortar that he put up here at Kalukalu before Isabella's arrival back in 1873. I think the store probably was here in 1852, but there's absolutely no proof. Strange how rapidly you can lose history. You can just lose it in the blink of an eye. But today, I think you all know from looking at your Facebook feed, we're going to talk about Kailua. We're going to pretend we are down in Kailua Kona, which, as you all know, is the tourist capital of our district. That is why I am wearing, it is very interesting, a blue aloha shirt. So the tourist capital is Kailua, and I'm gonna, I hope I don't make you all seasick moving around. All right, so we're in Hawaii, so the important thing is to understand the words. So the word Kailua means two seas or two currents. See, I feel like I'm very pale in this. I don't know why that is. I think it's the light or it's the little angle of the box. We're trying to show you the store. I know the store is so beautiful. I'm actually here in the south west corner of the store. Back up. I'm getting the symbol. Just back up. Well, it's fine. I think I'm still the same way. It doesn't matter. The important thing that you want to know is the history. So we're going to talk about Kailua Kona, and you saw that fabulous photograph. Here is the photograph. This is, oh no, see, this is ghastly. Well, you can kind of see it. This is a Bishop Museum photograph, and this is Kailua, and we're standing where the pier is today in Kailua Kona, and behind us, if we were standing there, we're standing behind the horseback riders looking down the sandy beach, down towards Mokuaikaua Church and towards Hulihe'e Palace. And right here is the beach called Kai Akeakua, the Sea of the Gods. And so here is going to be where the pier is, and then we step back, and we will be stepping on Kamakahonu. And Kamakahonu was the place, the Eye of the Turtle. The Eye of the Turtle is supposed to be a lava formation in the Pahoehoe that juts out into the sea. Oh, and one more interesting thing. You just have to realize, the Hawaiians knew their landscape extremely well. So when you look down on this old historic photograph and you see, I'm pretty sure it's over here, see this little island of Pahoehoe? That could be, it's someplace right around there, so it's probably right there, is the Pa'oumi. Pa'oumi. That is where the great chief Umi stepped. He put his foot on that lava rock, back in the 1500s when he came to Kona and then ran around planting ulu trees. Good for you. So, we're down in Kailua, 2 seas, 2 currents. And I wanted to just point something out. Well, don't point it out now, Molly. The theme of this talk today about Kailua is called Pohaku. Kailua's stones hold the past in place. Kailua's stones hold the past in place, and that is the truth. That's why it's kind of good that we're in Greenwell's store, because it is made out of lava rock and mortar. So the termites can't eat it. It's never burned down. We're up here at a high elevation, so the tsunamis can't reach us. We're like 1,500 feet above sea level. We are never going to get a tsunami. But we did have the earthquake in 2006, and it did knock some rocks loose, but it got repaired with money from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Thank you, nice Endowment for the Humanities. Okay, but that's why we have these rocks. And these are lava rocks. They were just field stones. But I'm not going to touch this phone. But these stones were shaped. They were shaped. They have chisel marks on them. They're made beautifully, have angles, and they stick them together. And the Hawaiians knew how to do this with their stone adzes just as well as anybody else did. So here we are. We are going to focus on the stones that have survived, the stones that hold the past in place. So we're down in Kailua, and what is so amazing is this man. This is an engraving of a painting of Kamehameha the Great in his old age. It is taken from a painting called the Red Vest painting. So this is supposed to be red. And here's the king, and he's white-haired, and he's getting old. This is King Kamehameha, who we all know. King Kamehameha is the ruler of the islands. And if you were in Kailua today, if we were doing a tour and we started at Kamakahonu, what would be overshadowing everything would be this immense hotel, King Kamehameha's Kona Beach Hotel. And it is sitting on Kamehameha's retirement home. He returned to Kona in 1811. He was raised in Kohala. He fought these massive battles all over Hawaii Island, Maui, Oahu. He pushed people off the pali. The waters of Iao ran red with the blood of the vanquished. And at last, he has established peace. Peace, at least it looks like peace. Nobody's fighting. And he comes back to Kona, and he lives here from 1811 until his death in May of 1819. And at Kamakahonu, he builds a fantastic crescent-shaped, really tall, we're talking 12, 15 feet tall, lava wall, and it encloses 4 acres of land, and he lives there. He lives there with his many wives and his advisors and his priest, because inside that 4 acres of land is a fallen down heiau, a huena, and he rebuilds it. This is what often happens with Hawaiian chiefs. You would come onto new land or a new place, and you would, just like we would re-roof a house or fix up the porch, you fix up your heiau, you rededicate it. And Kamehameha, of course, is a man of old Hawaii. He just exemplifies the ancient ways. He grew up with stone implements, and he wore feather cloaks, and he stabbed people with wooden spears. And he did. He offered human sacrifices on the Lua Kini Heiau, because that was what he was taught, and that is the way he was. But as he comes back in his old age, he is definitely a different man. So we have our 2 seas. He's chosen Kailua because it has white sandy beaches, lovely ko trees, shade, coconuts. The fishing in West Hawaii is the best. It's the best. We're in the time of COVID-19, so the headlines are, the Hawaii International Billfish Tournament has been canceled. Of course it's been canceled. We can't hold this thing in August with all these problems. But the Hawaiians knew West Hawaii was loaded with ahi and opelu and great rockfish and opihis. I mean, just wonderful. And there are not that many protected bays in Hawaii. We are a young island. We've got a lot of rocky coastline. We have Hilo Bay. We have Kailua. I mean, you don't want to live at Kauai. It's a windy, windy place. And you don't want to live at Mahukona. Forget that. And you don't want to live down some other places. So you're going to live at Kailua. Kamehameha had his pick. He could have gone anywhere, but he returns to the island of his birth. He picks the most beautiful place he knows, and he settles down to watch his eldest son and heir, Liho, grow up, be trained by the priests, take on all the knowledge and the connections he's going to need to be the king, because Kamehameha, he knows he's going to die. He has no illusions about that. So, what's so interesting, if you don't know too much about Kamehameha, is that as a young chief, the ruling chief of the island of Hawaii back in the time of Captain Cook, so 1778, 1779, is Kalaniʻopuʻu. Ruling chief. And Kalaniʻopuʻu invites Kamehameha, his nephew, the brother of his son, to come into his court. Because Kamehameha is just, he's this big, strong, strapping, incredibly athletic young Hawaiian man. And he has been trained by these fabulous, fabulous warriors like Kekuhaupio. And he can just stand there. He's the kind of person who thinks it's good fun just to have people throw spears at him, and he catches them out of the air and he throws them back at you. The art of warfare was highly developed in old Hawaii. And the warriors were very well trained. They ran up and down the slopes of the Kohala Mountains, so they were incredibly strong and resilient, and they learned all kinds of secret moves, bone breaking, wrestling holds, the lua. You know, they could just get hold of you and go, and your arm is broken just like that. So he was a valuable, strong young man to have in your court, not out, causing problems. So Kalaniʻopuʻu is the ruling chief. When Captain Cook comes to the islands of Hawaii in 1778 and 1779, often the canoes would go out to meet the boat. The boat didn't always come ashore because there weren't too many good harbors. And Kamehameha did go onto Captain Cook's ships. The Discovery, the Resolution, he was on board with his uncle. He saw Captain Cook and the Englishmen up close. And then what is amazing, A. Grove Day says, that's a very good historian, he said that Kamehameha was on the shore at the time of Cook's death, when the English cannon and the firepower was raining down on Ka'awaloa and Napopo. And he was actually injured. He was actually injured, so he knew exactly what it felt like to be shot with a gun. And he already had huge respect for what the English people had on the cannon. Can you imagine? You've never seen a cannon, and then you see somebody get a cannonball and shove it down the throat of a cannon and let it off, and you see it crash into the shore and get lodged into the heart of a coconut tree, which is what happened at Kawaloa. You would have a lot of respect for that. And if you are going to be a ruler, you want that on your side. All right. Yes. So there he was there. So here's Kamehameha getting to be a nice little old man. Here he comes back to Kona. And he is surrounded by, the men who have stood by him in his victory lap around the islands of Hawaii. Keaumoku, Kalani Moku, they're Hawaiian. You don't have words like premier and prime minister, but these men are bound to Kamehameha. Their sisters have married him. They have fought by his side. Their fathers have killed his enemies. It is a very tight group, and they're all down there together, and it's interesting. I love it. I love this line. I wrote some of this down, right, so I wouldn't get too lost. Together, they crushed their opponents, united the islands, and at long last, after 12 years of bloody battle, brought peace to the kingdom. It was time to relax. Yippee! So there he is down at Kamakahonu, the Eye of the Turtle, and I wanted to show you, Herb Connie spent much of his last years of his life living here in South Kona. And he used to paint and work for the National Geographic, and then he did all these fantastic paintings for hotels. He has a beautiful mural inside King Kamehameha's Kona Beach Hotel, and it's fabulous. It's really giant, and it shows us, we're standing on the shore looking out at Ahuanaheiau, and there's a canoe, and it's just come ashore filled with fish, and there's Kamehameha and his chiefs and his wife, Kahumanu, and it shows how totally nice and domestic and fun it must have been to live there. It was great. He had the food, he had the sunlight, and he had the time to enjoy it. All right, so Kamehameha. Oh, I wanted to show you what this, you saw the black and white one. This is, well, this might be disconcerting, but I just want to show you this picture. Now, let's see, you're gonna have a hard time seeing this. What I want you to see in this is the wall, this enormous stone wall. That is the wall surrounding Kamakahonu when Kamehameha lives there. And in this painting, of course, time has changed. This is 1850, this is not 1819. But this wall is there, and it's just amazing. And what's beautiful, so you can see the wall, and you can see that Kamehameha looks up at Hualalai, beautiful mountain, which I like to translate, Isabella Bird liked to translate it as child of the shining sun. Hua, the egg, lalai, lalai, the sun. Hua la lai, the happy sun. Well, anyway, it's a great place to live. So he is there. And let's show you this image of Kamehameha. He's getting really old. Every visiting ship has to come to Kailua. So look at this interesting image of Kamehameha the Great. The artist has put a bottle of rum in a little glass right there. Kamehameha drank no alcohol. He was a very wise man. And his hairdo, you're going to look at that and go, yikes, he has a mohawk. I never knew Kamehameha the Great had a mohawk. Well, I didn't either. This painting, this watercolor, is done by a Russian. This is an incredible story. I just love it. Where are we, Russian? This Russian is going to go insane on board the ship. They have to take him back to Russia, and he has to go off and be taken care of by his family. But this is David Forbes. Okay. You know, you at home, there are many books you would want to have. This is a beautiful book called Encounters with Paradise. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful book. It's a book that's filled with paintings and etchings and drawings of visitors who came to Hawaii and their artists on board, because of course you're always, in those days, you're bringing your little artist along with you because you don't have a camera. So inside the David Forbes book is this incredible image of Kamehameha sitting there. And the artist is called, just in case you want to know, Mikhail Mikhail Tikhonov. And he gets here on board a ship. You know, he's interesting. He is interesting. He was born a serf in old Russia, and he was so talented as an artist that the person who was in charge, who owned everything, sent him off to art school. I mean, just incredible. And of course, serfs weren't free men, but he was so talented that eventually he was freed, and he was sent on board this ship. He came on the Kamchatka. Okay, this is a Russian ship called the Kamchatka. He's supposed to go around the world. Captain Vasily Golovnin. Oh well. So he was appointed to the ship. He comes out to Hawaii. He does this incredible image of Kamehameha, which David Forbes does say is so interesting and psychologically aware. You know, so, my goodness, he's wearing a velvet vest, and he has a little tie and this white shirt, and he is mourning the death of his sister. That's why he has this amazing hairdo. It's because he's mourning the death of his sister. And in old Hawaii, which I think is very interesting, you recognize the death of people who are dear to you. You know, if you were a commoner and the chief died or something, you were supposed to knock out a tooth or two. That's pretty bad. And you could cut your hair, and you could, you know, you could torture yourself. But the chief, Kamehameha just cuts his hair and gets a mohawk. Okay. And see, I just want to show you this Russian. Oh my God. I mean, this is one of the people that's hanging out with Kamehameha. This is Boki, a chief from Oahu. And it's such an interesting look. I mean, it's a fabulous, we have got the feathers, we have got the helmets. I mean, nobody else painted like this. You know, these are the yellow and golden and red feathers, the royal colors. Because of course we've got these great honey creepers running around that are red and gold, and the Hawaiians were artistically very aware, and they plucked all those little feathers and stuck them on their helmets and cloaks, and the chiefs wore them and looked fabulous. And I just wanted to show you, because apparently in this picture you can see the man's profile behind Boki is Kalani Moku. And he is very handsome, and he is standing there, that great profile with his helmet. And these are the kinds of people who are standing up and supporting Kamehameha. So he is not alone, but he's getting old, and he knows he's going to die. So what he does is what I always think is so interesting. His uncle did this. And it's almost like Kamehameha, he felt he had to do this. Instead of just leaving your kingdom to one person, let's make it simple. Let's leave it to Liho, your eldest son of your high-born wife, Keopuolani, beautiful, young, perfect wife, chosen because her bloodlines through, we can call it inbreeding, incestuous breed, whatever it is, she has beautiful bloodlines. Kamehameha would have to crawl on his knees to come visit her, and her children are of a higher rank than his rank. His blood is not as highly respected and full of mana as his wife's blood. So his children they're the ones. They will be recognized as the rightful rulers of the Kingdom of Hawaii. So there's Liho. He's in his early 20s. You know, you look back and historians say stupid things like, oh, he was spoiled. You know, he is the heir. He is the prince. He is the high-born son of Keopuolani. He has trained his entire life to somehow, you know, he's going to take it over. He spends hours, countless hours, days, weeks of his life on the special heiau with the special kahunas teaching him all he needs to know to be the king. You know, the chants, the stars, you name it. He is highly, highly trained for this position. He doesn't just walk into it. But Kamehameha says, okay, I'm going to leave the kingdom to my son, Liho, but I'm going to leave my war god, my hideous little red and yellow war god with dog teeth, very powerful, special war god that was very successful for Kamehameha in taking over the islands, highly revered. I'm going to leave this to my, one of my son's cousins, Kekua o Kalani, another young chief. So my kingdom will go to two people, just like it went to me back in the old days. Back when Kalani o Pu'u died, he leaves the kingdom to his son, Kivala'o, and he leaves the war god to Kamehameha. So if we go back to Kamehameha's youth and we go, Kamehameha, why are you doing this? You know you got the war god. You were ambitious, you were angry, you wanted it all. So here's Kivala'o over here. Kalani o Pu'u said he could be the ruler, and you went and had a battle with him, and Kivala'o died one of those great deaths. It's just interesting. Hawaii has a lot of beautiful things. Those feathered cloaks, beautiful. We have a lot of very interesting instruments of war and death. Kivala'o died with a leo mano, a nice wooden thing with shark's teeth all over it, like a lei of shark's teeth. and you're stunned in the head by a little rock, and then your throat is slit and you die pretty fast. So that's what happened. Kamehameha had to fight to become the ruler. So he leaves his kingdom there at Kamakahonu. He is dying. He looks really old in that picture, doesn't he? He is going to die in less than a year. He looks like this. He's in full, he's got his brain, he knows what he wants, but he is going to die. And he knows he's going to die. He sends to Honolulu for the Spaniard, he sends for people to come, he's like, help, help, I'm going to die. Or maybe he wasn't, his supporters were trying to save him. And apparently they stood around down at Kamakahonu inside that great big stone wall, and they all asked him, how irritating, what do you want to happen? You know, how would you like to see this go down after you're dead? You're saying you want Kekuaokalani and Liho to share the kingdom. Really? That's what you want? And apparently Kamehameha, he may have been really, really sick and he couldn't say anything anymore, but he wouldn't really spell it out. And then, of course, he dies. He dies in 1819. And I know this is all bleached out, but it doesn't matter that much. In old Hawaii, you think nowadays we die because it's COVID-19 and we either get our bones cremated or little Alan last week, he is put in a coffin, his whole body, and you put underground. The Hawaiians really revered the bones of their ali'i. They felt that the mana, the power of your person, it's not just your personality, it's the power. If you were descended from the gods, the power is in your bones. So you don't want your enemies to get hold of your bones. In your life, when you're alive and you're a chief, you don't cut your fingernails and let your fingernails or your hair get into the hands of an enemy, because they will give it to some horrible kahuna and they could pray you to death, or there could be problems. So Kamehameha has his body secreted away. Apparently Ho'opili, a trusted one of these chiefs to the end, took his body away and put it. And we have never found it. People have tried. King Kalakaua tried to find Kamehameha's body, and he couldn't do it, which I think is great. And what's funny is Kalaniʻopuʻu, when he died, this is the man who Kamehameha inherited the kingdom, well, the island from, half the island. He had his bones, you do something to the body, get the bones, steam it off, something attractive, and you put the bones neatly tied up in a wonderful kapa bundle, and they put it at Haleokeawe at Pu'uhonua o Honaunau. So he could have done that, but he said, no, I want my bones secreted away. Of course. So this is where a lot of drama takes place at Kamakahonu. The king is dead. His body is secreted away. Everybody's wondering what's going to happen next. Well, what happens is death is a defiling occurrence. And so Liho gets in his canoes and he goes down to Kauai and he stays away. He does not show up for a week. And then they get, all the defilement is gone and he comes back. And this is where I like Kaikendall. There's some wonderful historians in Hawaii who have spent years putting together stories, and they put them in books. And the government actually asked Kaikendall to write, these are the 3 volumes of, this is the Hawaiian Kingdom. I think a cockroach has eaten part of mine, which is sad, but that's all right. So I put a little piece of pencil lead in here. Yes, so immediately after the death, Liho goes away, heir to the throne, with his attendants to Kohala. Okay, wrong, not Kauai. He went up north. They probably got out of the canoe for a while at Kauai, but they go to Kohala and they hang out there. After a week, he comes back to be proclaimed king. Wow. This is where we have to pretend we could go back to Kailua and stand. We'll have to stand on the sands of Kamakahonu, and we could do that today, there's still sand, and just blot out the pier. Along the shore, partly on the sand and partly in the water, was a great throng. of the common people. Facing them, a group of chiefs, resplendent in feather cloaks and helmets, with the Dowager Queen Kaahumanu occupying the central position. Into this assemblage came the prince. Isn't this wonderful? We're using the word prince. A superb figure wearing the royal feather cloak, and he's got the cloak and the helmet, beneath which gleamed the red and gold of an English uniform. So he is dressed up in an English uniform with the cloak, with the helmet. He is a good-looking guy. He is tall, he's big, he's Kamehameha's son. He looks resplendent. Wow. And the two chiefs come along with him, and they're carrying big kahilis, those big feather standards. So that looks very much ancient Hawaii. Move closer. Okay, I have to move closer. Hello. You like it closer? Okay. It's fine. I'm reading you this book, Kaikendall, because it's so fabulous. All right. As Liho came before the circle of the chiefs, he was met by Kaahumanu. So Kaahumanu is not his mother, and the term stepmother doesn't exist. But Kaahumanu was Kamehameha's favorite wife. She never had a child. Otherwise, if she had children, I bet Liho would not have been the king. But she doesn't have children. But she was very beautiful, fiery, and smart. This lady wouldn't have survived as long as she did if she was not really brainy. And so here she goes. And Kaahumanu addresses him. And naturally, she's addressing him in Hawaiian, but Kaikendall's translated it. Hear me, O divine one, for I make known to you the will of your father. Behold these chiefs and the men of your father, and these your guns, and this your land. But you and I shall share this realm together. Ha! Wow, see? And this was the first public proclamation of the fact that she was going to rule with him. She's not his queen. She's not his mother. She says Kamehameha has proclaimed her a brand new thing, a kuhina nui. Dear God. Now I'm looking at this and I think I need some lipstick. Yes, hang on.
You look great.
Yeah, no, you're so cute. I mean, this is what's really fun, Facebook friends out there. I hope you don't mind. But see, I'm staring at myself in this phone, and it's suddenly striking me. I think, my God, I think I need some lipstick. So pardon me. See, Kaahumanu didn't have to wear lipstick. She looked great the way she was. Yes, I feel better. So she was standing there, and you can bet she looked pretty resplendent too. I don't think the ladies didn't get, well, they had little short cloaks. They couldn't wear their big giant cloaks all the way down to the ground. But forget it. She didn't need a feather cloak. She had everyone's attention. Liho assented. That means he said yes. And thus he became king with the title Kamehameha II. Kaahumanu became Kuhina Nui, and a unique system of dual government was thereby instituted. Right. So what this means is on the sands at Kailua, when you go down there, an entirely new government was created for the Kingdom of Hawaii. And because the beach still exists, and because David Roy, thank you David Roy, he has passed away, but he and others built a replica of Ahuanaheiau. It fell apart. I don't know if a tsunami hit it or it got flattened out, but they put it back. It's only like 3/4 the size of what it used to be. So when you look at it, it looks kind of small and you think, that was it? No, that was not it. That's a replica. It was much bigger. It had a lot of outbuildings. You have a lot of buildings associated with heiaus. You have the chief and the priests and special nice places and cool carved statues. There's a really nice statue down at Ahuena with a little plover. So there's a big tall ohia post and it's all carved with ki'i, and at the top is a bird, which is kind of unusual and fun. So now we have Kaahumanu, we have Liho, and we have problems. We have got problems. And the problems are Keikua Okalani, because he's a feisty kind of a chief, and he's got the god, but he can see Liho and Ka'ahumanu out there trying to hold it together. So time passes, and in November of 1819, political problems are happening. The chiefs of Hamakua aren't happening. Apparently Kamehameha dies, and guess what? He has enemies, and his enemies like come out of the woodwork, and they're like, ha ha ha, this is our chance. We will take down Liho, and we'll just mess up all this beautiful system that Kamehameha had. But thank God, Liho, this young, untried king, has wonderful advisors. And so in November, as things are kind of heating up, he is getting a lot of pressure from his stepmother, Ka'ahumanu, and from his real mother, Keopuolani, because they do not like the old kapu system. They haven't liked it for a long time. The kapu system kind of goes side by side with the kingship. Priests, support the gods, and the gods support the king, and the king supports the priests, and everybody does what you're supposed to do, and we have big heiaus, and in times of war or famine or big fighting, there's some nice gods that are just agriculture, and some nice gods, but there's a big hungry Kukailimoku, the island-snatching god, and if you want to really have control, then you kill somebody and sacrifice them on a heiau, and that used to happen. Kamehameha did that. And the kapu system went into every aspect of life. Women can't eat with men. Boys live with their fathers in the house. There's a whole bunch of food that women can't eat. Just a huge list. You can't eat this. Anything that's really super is for men. Women don't eat pork. They don't eat the nice banana. You can't eat that fish. You can't do this. It's super annoying for anybody. And so the queens are coming to this young king and saying, we would like to overthrow. They don't say that. I'm sure they didn't say that, but they said, how about let's get rid of the kapu system. And to give Liho credit, he took his time, and at last, apparently, in November of 1819, he said, we're going to have a big feast down at Kamakahonu. And this is a Hawaii. He's not going to sit on the ground. He's not having a luau in the sand. He has 2 tables set up beautifully with chairs, and they're all decorated, and it's got lovely, lovely food. And this is the men's table, and this is the women's table. And so the queens are at one end, and he's over there. And Kaikendall says he gets up, and he goes over to the queen's table, and he sits down by George, and he eats something yummy, a fried fish. This is shocking. This is a shocking, revolutionary development. I mean, it's hard to believe something so little could have caused such a great big fat problem, but it did. And his priests are there. Heva is quite a well-known kahuna. And apparently, he's on board with this idea of let's take down the kapu system. And so, Ainoa, the free eating, let's take down the kapu system. Heva says, go, knock down the heiau, burn the images of the gods. It's over. And that was an amazing upheaval, because now, of course, Keikua Okalani is holding on to a feathered war god that has no place in society. There is no more ancient religion. There is no more. Good God, we're 5 minutes. I cannot believe it. Well, I've been talking to you a great deal about this. So what I want you to know is then Keikua Okalani gets mad. And he has his wonderful wife, Manono. And of course, he has disgruntled chiefs. And they gather. All of this is happening in Kona. They gather down at Ka'avaloa, where Captain Cook was killed, in Kealakekua Bay. And of course, Keopuolani goes and entreats Keikua Okalani. Please, let's not have a big war. Let's not fight with my son, Liho. They don't want any part of this. They are going to go for it. So they march up the shore, and Liho, I don't think is Mr. Spearman, but he doesn't have to be, because he's got Kalani Moku and everybody else. And they have the last bloody war happens months after Kamehameha dies. So Liho's forces, Keikua Okalani, They meet down in the horrible, jaggedy rocks south of Keoho, the Leke battlefield, Kuamo'o. And they have guns, right? Kamehameha's forces, we have guns. We're not out there just with rocks anymore. We are shooting people. Apparently there's a cannon out on top of a canoe that's spamming those cannonballs that Kamehameha had such respect for. And Kekuaokalani dies first, and his wife is extremely brave, Manono. Apparently Kekuaokalani got hit by, and he pulls the cloak over his face, his feathered cloak. He's out there in his red and gold feathered cloak. Boom, down. And Manono stands there at his side, and then she is killed as well. And the two of them are buried. They're not buried, they're covered, they have a rocky grave. They are there, out in Kuamo'o. And what was good is Kalani Moku and Liho Liho were not the vengeful winners. They did not murder everybody, which sometimes is what you did in Old Hawaii, but they didn't. And people snuck away. But that was the end of the old religion. And it's the beginning of an opening for something new. Because we're back 200 years ago, remember? Okay, that was 1819. Now we're 2019 was last year. Something amazing is going to happen in 1820. And we're going to talk about it next week at next week's Monday's Maile, meandering on the thing. But it's very exciting. And what you must walk away with is the stones tell the story. Down in Kailua, stand on that sand. I mean, it's possible that you could be standing on a grain of sand that Kamehameha stood on, Ka'ahumanu stood on, that Liho lay on. The rocks are there, under the seawall, under the, where the triathlon takes off and everything. The stones are there. And so 1820, another watershed year for Hawaiian history. And when we started, we looked at the picture. And so next week, we will talk about how come we have a church with a steeple in the middle of Kamehameha's Hawaiian capital. How did that happen? And how do we have a little red roof in front of it? That is Hulihe'e Hale, Kuakini's personal house. Because, of course, Ka'ahumanu had a brother, and her brother becomes the governor of the island because blood is thicker than water. And people do stand up for their family. Of course, how do you expect to get on in this world? Well, you can do it yourself, but it's certainly easier with friends and relations. So, Alexis has given me the 5-minute thing. Is it? 1 minute. So, I want to say mahalo. Thank you. You all know that. Thank you for joining us in the store. See, there was no fluttery wind. I think there is peculiar light, but that's all right. That's the western light coming into Mr. Greenwell's store, where H.N. Greenwell and Granny, this was Granny's domain. She's in here running this store day and night. Remember the 10 children? Remember Kalu Kalu, land of the child? So today we had Kailua, land of Kamehameha. Wonderful, amazing king. Never discount him. He was a fantastic monarch. And then we just say, do we have to say aloha? Okay, you guys, aloha. Do you realize next Monday is going to be May. So we are saying adieu, aloha, April 2020, and hello, May. That's going to be nice. So goodbye.